Good afternoon, everyone. Today's Tanya portion. We open the third epistle in the Igeres HaKodesh, the holy letters of the Alter Rebbe. That this one today we're going to talk about the greatness of giving tzedakah, of giving charity. So, by Yubash, Rushel Tzedakah Kashiryon, Hamagin Alaguf, Chaneda Yeshua Bereshe, Lamresha Pasuk Musav Klape Kodesh Baruch Hu Shehu Yubash Levushim Shel Tzedakah Yeshua Livnei Yisrael. Levushim Shel Nekama Kfi Shehu Misayim B'Pasuk Klape Umois HaOlam Ach Kevan Shekli Leklitas Ilis Havus HaInyanim Shelamaylo. Nature mina inyanim she b'nei Yisrael isim matam me'ein v'dugma me'en. Haray kavana hi gam shebe'avedas et tzedakah shel b'nei Yisrael yeshnei ha'inyan she tzedakah hi levush k'mei shiryan u'magin alagu u'koybei Yeshua b'shvil ha'reish. So we're saying that tzedakah, charity, has two factors to it. That in one way, it is a shield for the body, and then it also brings salvation for the person's head. So we're going to see what this means. B'darshu Rabbi saying this from the bracha. Ma shiryin ze kol klippa uklippa. Mehen Morkav Ashirian, Mitzterepes Lashirian Godo, Av Tzedakah Kol Pruto Pruta, Shenesim Tzedakah Mitzterepes Lacheshben Godo. So the Alter Rebbe is bringing an analogy here, that just like a set of armor that's like with like they have all like the chains in it, right? And every single chain, it forms one piece of armor. So just like that it forms the whole piece of armor, so too every single coin of tzedakah that we give adds up to a large number. Gam nimshal kashem shebeshiryan mishave pratim rabim inin godol echad kaknishim mishave meharbe pratim inin vecheshben echad godol ma meisif efe mashal shebil ade loy ayu mevinim as adavar nimshal. So we asked the question, if we did not know this fact, that if we didn't have the example that the Alter Rebbe gives, was the piece of armor, what would we be missing? Seemingly, we would know that every single coin to tzedakah that we give adds up to a great number. We don't need an example for that, seemingly. So we say, Pirush Ashirian Asui Kaskasim, came Kaskase a dog, Al Mekavim Behaim, Kaskasim Meginim Shalei Kones Chetz. So the Alter Rebbe answers the question with another example, that just as the scales, like the scales on a fish, they cover up all the holes, so the fish is totally, nothing like it penetrates the fish really. And then so like a kind of and then so too with the armor, like if an arrow were to hit it, it would not penetrate the person. So too the same thing works with giving tzedakah. Shigam tzedakah yeshnei inyan shel nekavim v'kaskasim v'miginim al nekavim fi sheyasper lahalan es ze meisif v'marshal al nimshal sheyeshnei inyan shel nekavim v'kaskasim haprutais v'miginim al nekavim. So the main emphasis we want to make here is that every single link, every single piece of tzedakah, meaning covers over all of the holes. So what are these holes? Uvira inyan mahu inyan nekavim sha kaskasim shel ma'aset stakam aginim aleim higdei stakam mikol mitzvahs shemehem mitzvahs uklal naisim neitrim levushim l'neshama. So first thing we know is that the mitzvah of tzedakah is greater than all the other mitzvahs. And we also know that the mitzvahs make garments for the soul. Kadesh Anashaman Tucha Lakabel as a Gilui shall gan Adim Shaloi Spato. Izukukal Vushim Shibem Suusam Tucha Lakabel as a Gilui. And so what do we mean when the mitzvahs make, what are these garments for the soul? It's for the soul, so that the soul should be able to receive the revelation of godliness when it goes into the world to come. So it should not be nullified out of its existence, and it should be ready for the revelation of godliness. Levushim eile mishalim ma'aseh hamitzvahs hanim shachim halavushim shachim me'erin say baruch hu. And that these levushim that are caused by our mitzvahs, these garments that are caused by our mitzvahs, come from the light, the infinite light of God. And since these garments come from that level of infinitude, it causes the soul, when the soul puts on these garments, the soul is able to receive the revelation of the infinite God when it comes to the next world. However, Perush shall maliko alim save ko alim likute amarim. However, Chelgarishan ayin sham. Rushim Eila shibechina save ko alim mishavim bis rus del sata. He mitzvahs Hashem urotzen elyon baruch hu. So we're saying that the garments for the soul, they are created from that level of infinitude, the infinite light of God, which is also referred to as the light that completely transcends all the worlds, that is completely removed from the world. It completely surrounds it without having any connection to it, so to speak. But the mitzvahs come. These garments that when we do a mitzvah, they come from this level of the infinite light. And they are formed through a person's arousal from below. When he goes out of his way to do something, to do a mitzvah for Hashem, he mitzvahs Hashem, Urotzen elyon baruch hu. When he goes out of his way to do a mitzvah, because this is the will of Hashem. Shekaven shel mitzvah, he rotzen elyon. Shebechina shel rotzen, shukayach makif, useivev l'chein nimshachim al yada levushim bechina seivev kol almin. That since the mitzvah is on the level, the mitzvah itself is the level of the will of Hashem, which is this level of the infinite light of God that completely transcends and surrounds the world. And from this level is what is brought down the garments. The ikar amshachazu me'urin streif baruch hu levush makif liyud sfiris shel arbas ha'ilamus datzilus brit asiya yitzir asiya hamishtalshlus ezra shel arba ilamus mishtalshlus. Eilu madrega chulu anikra and the Grais as spheres, the Grais with Shem Maliko Almin. That we're saying that Shachal Me'ur Ein Sei Baruch Hu V'Sei V'Kol Almin Im Sheches Al Yidei Mitzvahs. Now he says Be'ikr Levush Makif L'Shtal Shaluson Shel HaSpheres. Baram L'Chera Kevan Shas Atzmer Hein Har Elokus Halakus Shal Elamus Madua Efa Nidreshes Am Shachal Me'ur Ein Sei Kalavush L'Spheres. So we're saying that this drawing down of the infinite light of God is the garment that is drawn down into the world, meaning all the spiritual worlds as they go from a lower level to lower level, and it becomes a garment for all of the faculties in those worlds. But since we have to ask the question that since all of those the different faculties of God within those lower worlds, albeit a much more constrained form of God's light, why they are still God's light, so why do they need a garment for them? Pirush HaKavanahi Ki Ur Ein Seif Baruch Hu Mislabish Umeir B'Seif Kol Ishtalshus HaEser Spheres Shalimus Dazuz B'Ri Yitzir Asiya Kalemar Hu Meir B'Hem B'Nimius B'Evin Shel Islabshus. That we say, first of all, that the infinite light of God is what is illuminating in all of the faculties, the intellectual and emotional faculties that are in all of the spiritual worlds until this very world itself. V'hu ha'ma'atzil ha'eser spheres ha'mishtalshles l'briya yitzir asiya. Kidua she'asferes upartsufim shal elam atzilus ve'irim ba'elamus bria yitzir asiya ve'hem mahavim elakos sheba'elamus ela. Ketan misbatzes hatzala shal asferes shal elam atzilus ma she'er ein seif meir v'ishtalshus asferes shal shar elamus harizeh al yidei tzimtzum altzum hamavayar v'sefer eitz chayim. That we're saying that everything comes from that level of the infinite light that originates in the highest world, the world of emanation, which is the highest of the spiritual worlds. Everything, all the lower spiritual worlds, ultimately descend from there, which those worlds, the lower worlds, come about through a great contraction of light. She'ein testam simsum miut shel ha'or, elazeu siluk shel ha'or, ve'efin she'er shehu ein seif bli gvul yuchal liyes netzal v'lahar ve'efin shel gvul v'nikar ur panimim. And this form of light that is contracted is not only a diminishing of the light; it's removing some of the light completely. And it's called the inner light. It's being enclosed within the thing itself. The light is what forms. The light goes into the particular thing that it enlivens. And this form Misyached ima pnimi. But when a person does a mitzvah, what he does is he unites the complete infinite light of God into all of the intellectual and emotional faculties of all of the spiritual worlds that are limited. That the light that is enclosed within the world unites with the light that is completely removed from the world. That is far greater than it. V'nikra yichud kedush brichu. And this is what we say when we say this is the unification of Kudsha Brichu, Mashu Kadesh Muvdal Ma'ilei Elam, Bechina Sevu Kol Amen. When we say in the prayers that it's a unification of Kudsha Brichu, which means the part of God that is above the world, which completely transcends it. Ushchinte ima ora pnimi nikra shchina al shem shasheichem islamish ishtalsus. That this is the unification of Kudsha Brichu, that the light of above the world, and the Shchinte, which is the Shechina, which is the part of God that dwells, so to speak, in the world. Commission is bar makam acher, shal yidei mitzvahs naisa yichud shal Kudsha Brichu im Shchinte shaloi shalchein imrim. The nekim mitzvahs l'shem Kudsha Brichu Shchinte shchein mitzvahs poilos yichud zet. So this is why that by some different mitzvahs, we have this in mind, this intention in mind, that we are uniting both these aspects of God that completely, they're together. The aspect of God that completely transcends the worlds with the aspect of God that is enclosed in the world in a limited way. Ze'im kain ikar shacha hanimshechas me'erin seif al yidei mitzvahs shacha me'erin seif b'shtalshlus hasfiris shel emus me'ara de'ara me'er makif hanizkar le'el al yidei tzimtzum ra na'is levush lev'chinas nefesh ruach neshama shel adam gan eden atakten ve'elyin sheyuchlu le'hanes l'hasig ez asaga ve'ara me'erin seif baruch. That through this unification of the infinite light of God, and then with unifying that with the ray of a ray of that very same light that comes in a limited way into the level of a person's soul, all the three levels of his soul that is enclosed in the body. This makes the garment for him, all the garments for his soul, that he will be able to derive benefit and understand the ray of the infinite light of God. Kameshim Mevayer Makam Acher. Ham Everskage. Bezesh Amen Rabbi Sain is running Bracha Skar Mitzvah Bahai Alma Leika. Schar mitzvah ba'ayim hazeh ain't. Chachmein zal loy aimim sheskar mitzvah ain't a nitan ba'ayim hazeh. Kiim ba'ayim haba ella kiim ba'ayim haba ella heim aimim sheba'ayim hazeh ain't shum skar mitzvah. Ki ba'ayim hazeh gashmi uval gvua v'chai shebehu b'tzimtzum rab otum me'id e avshar l'chein this labish ba'ayim hazeh Shuma ara me'er ein seif baruchu. Ki'im al yidei be'emsos yud spheres nikraim gufa b'zeir kadesh. that it's impossible to have this revelation of light in a world that came into being from the contraction of the infinite light into such a low level. כפי שרבנו זקן מסביר מיד להלן שכהשוואת הגוף והנשמה, שהגוף הוא באין ערך לגבי נשמה, כך הספירס הן באין ערך לגבי אין סוף, ומאחר שהשכר למעשה מצוות הוא המשכה מאין סוף, אין הוא יכול להסלבש בעולם הזה, ולכן שכר מצווה בהאי עלמא לקה. אין בעולם הזה סוג המשכה הסלבשוסס כזו, שכן ההמשכוס המסלבשוס בעולם הזה, בויס רק על ידי העשר ספירס הנקראות בזהר HaKadosh Gufa. That the reward a person gets for doing mitzvahs is not found in this world. Because this level of light cannot go into the worlds that come into being from this contraction of light. Chesed Reya Yamina Chulu, Chesed Nikras Reya Yamin, Vura Reya Small Chulu Hala, Fisha Kamei She'ein Arich Loy Guf Agash Gabe Neshama, Kach Ein Arich Klal Yud Spheres Dat Silos Gabe Ma'atzil Elyain Ein Se Baruch Hu Ki Shechein Afilu Chachmi Law Elyain Shi Reishison Shall Ezer Spheres He Bivchinas Asiya Gufanis Gabe Kosh Baruch Hu. So we say that just as the body is incomparable to the soul, we say so too that all of the intellectual and emotional faculties that are in the highest of the spiritual worlds, with regards to the world of emanation, with regards to the emanator himself, Baruch Hu, there is no comparison between them. Because we say that the highest level of this world is the level of wisdom. And that the level of wisdom, the highest level within the worlds, with regards to Hashem, is like a physical action. It's like an action. It's the most outward level of a person. Right, his thought is his most inner thing. Then it comes speech, but then his action is something so very external for him. So too, it's like the level of the highest level of wisdom for God is like a physical action, something very external. Commission is bar v'lekutei amarim ve'ilu zeis. B'maise hatzdaka, gnus chasadim, she'adam eichel mi'perisein bayom hazeh, harayim b'tzdaka, gnus chasadim, yesh l'adam mashu schar, ha'peris bayom hazeh. Hakavana hi sheb'mitzvahs elu, achein yered l'elam hazeh mashu me'a'er anizkar le'el. But it's a little bit of a different case of tzedakah and doing acts of kindness. Because we say by these mitzvahs, a person eats the fruits from those mitzvahs in this very world. Yesh nekalim al derech mashal b'levusha elyon amakif al bechinas gufa. Heim akelim diyud spheres. Shemashu me akelim shel eser spheres yardu derech hanekalim al eyam azeh. L'hayr mehem la'ashpia erva shefa mi chesed. True bechinas d'rei yamina. Nimshach eirich yamim ba'ilm hazeh gashmi. Ve'eisher v'chavit. Shachim ba'ilm hazeh d'rei mi d'rei smala. Seriously, goshi bechinas d'rei smala. V'chein nimshach az hashpa l'mata b'siferes. that a person, his effect that he has above through doing these particular mitzvahs, these actually have an effect on him in a way that comes from Hashem's attribute of kindness that gives him long life, and from the attribute of Hashem's severity that gives him wealth and honor. Even though he's affecting the highest levels, it actually has an effect in this world. Same says B'Siferes, V'Hoid, V'Adar, V'Chedva, V'Chulu. Nimshachim Lamata Misferes, Hoid, Yisoid, Chulu, Kol Amar Hu Hashpa, Nimsheches, Lamata Ayidei, Nekalim Lamashal, Neitzrim, V'Levush, V'Er Makif, Hanimshach B'Seich HaSfiras. That since that these mitzvahs cause a person to fill in the holes, like we were talking about above, the holes in the 10 emotional and intellectual attributes, they come down into this world in a revealed way. Ach kedei shaloi yinku hachitzenim l'mayla haklippus me erva shepa mishtal shel v'yeri l'mata mata ad elam hazeh gashmi b'shah shashpa mitztam tzemes kol kach hari zeh neisen makam sheyuchlu hachitzenim l'yinuk mizeh. So we have to say how we have to treat this very delicately, because such a downward flow of light that comes down through all the levels, it could, God forbid, give nourishment to the external forces, the forces of unholiness. So how do we not make sure that it does not get there? Harik hakel klitasay him raka spheres v'inyanim shel kedusha ve'ilu kisha yered lamata achrei tzimtzumim rabim ad layam hazeh gashmi yesh makam ha'shalom v'chitzeni shulchu kavol yinika ve'erzeh v'chein lamata v'kach gam lamata yesh seirich l'hagein al ha'adam u'l'shamrei u'l'hatzilei mikol davar ra b'gashmius u'ruchnius. It can keep it could guard over the person and save him from a bad thing within physicality and spirituality. The same thing that could guard a person and save him is the same thing that, God forbid, could give nourishment to the external forces of unholiness. Chayzer Meir Makif V'Seisim HaNekev Al Derek Mashal HaNekev Shenitzer Aidei Ma'aseh Tzedakah Guruz Chasadim Chayzer V'Nistam Kedei She'achitzenim Lo Yuchlu L'Kabel Shum Yenika Me'ashpa HaNishpas Aidei HaNekev L'Mashal. That when a person does these mitzvahs of acts of kindness and tzedakah, they fill in the holes so that these external forces cannot get any nourishment. Shkei ora makif einem yecholim l'kabel yinika. Ki hu ha'ora makif ba mivchinas ein seif v'sev kol alim nizno el. Shesham ein achitzayim yecholim l'kabel yinika. Because since it comes from when these garments are formed for a person through these mitzvahs, the garments come down to him from the infinite light. And since this infinite light is far above this level of giving nourishment, it completely prevents it. Luz chasadim yesh inyan shel nekavim kaskasim b'seismin as ha-nekavim. Ha-nekavim mishamshim kepsicha be'ura makif ubalavush dracha yardu periseyan kischar la'adam shelo mazeh. V'kaskasim heima ura makif v'seisim es ha-nekavim shalei tuchal liyes yinika l'chitzenim v'lefize harizeh mikaven l'mashal hasharyan ha'asurim v'nekavim kaskasim maginim al nekavim. Zeh sha'am saying is on the bracha kashem sheb'sharyan shiryan. It's starefes kol klipa uklipa l'shiryan gadol. Kach v'tzedakah mitztarefes kol pruta upruta l'cheshbon gadol daika. I mean l'gadol. Ki gadol Hashem u'lam ha'ed b'li seif v'tachlis v'ruach chaz v'shalom arisha al yidei ha'pruta shel tzedakah mamshichim me'abechina shel gadol Hashem. Kefi sha'avaya merames al eser spheres Yud Chachma Hey Bina Vav Sheshes Midas V'Hei Achrein Malchus Mekabo Me'ein Seif V'Heim V'Chinas Gedula Me'ein Seif. So basically, a person draws down from this level of the greatness of Hashem that's completely above all the worlds, and it comes to be it comes into him through reward in this world. End of today's Tanya.